Hello everyone, welcome. It's so nice to see you here. A little extra today, I just love this headpiece. I've had it for such a long time. But it's like I don't really have an opportunity to wear it because it's so big and a little bit heavy and obviously very dramatic. But I saw it today, I'm like, screw it, I'm just gonna wear it, why not? This was handmade by Dimundi and it's absolutely beautiful. I will leave the link to our store down below. It's a very small business, so have a look and I'm sure you're not gonna be disappointed. So today we're gonna talk about labels. I was gonna do a comic about this subject a while ago. If you don't know, I used to do some comic strips. You maybe saw them around, probably without my signature or with my signature cropped. One of the reasons why I stopped making the comics. I'm really thinking about going back to drawing them again in the near future, so we'll see. Anyway, this was a subject that I wasn't able to translate into a comic strip just because I had so many thoughts about it that I'm just gonna compile them in this video. Who hasn't heard the statement of stop labeling yourself? Either directed to you or others that label themselves as goths or punks, or sometimes even directed to people regarding their sexual orientation or gender identity. Some people say stop labeling yourself because you are limiting yourself. And if you are one of these people and you don't like to use labels on yourself, that's totally fine. But you can really roll your eyes at people that decide to do so. If you don't like people labeling you of something that you are not, it's also not okay for you to take other people the right to label themselves however they prefer. But first, let me tell you why I think a labelless a life without labels is pretty much impossible and maybe a little bit naive even. Labels help you identify what you like, what you are, what you don't like, what you are not. And labels don't have to limit yourself because there's no limit on the amount of labels that you can use to describe yourself or your interests. You can add labels, you can remove labels. What you think you were a couple years ago might not be what you are and what you are interested right now. And this is all a part of growing up. The things that you use to describe yourself might be different later on, so they don't have to be limiting because you are the one that chooses them and how many labels define you and how many interests you have. If I say I'm a horror fan, that's a label. If I say I'm goth, that's a label. If I say I'm a gamer, that's a label. That's not what my whole personality is about, far from it, but it's a quick way to describe some of my interests and consequentially part of who I am. If I say I'm a horror fan, you'll know that I'll be into horror movies, books, perhaps special effects, makeup. If I say I'm into goth, you'll know that's one of my preferred music genres. If I say I'm a gamer, then you'll know that I frequently play video games, perhaps board games, perhaps both. These labels are not only good conversation starters, but they also help you find your tribe and meet other people that have similar interests as your own. If you don't have labels, it would be pretty hard to describe what you like or what you are and find peers with the same interests. All of these are labels, so I'm not sure why people think that some labels will limit yourself, but at the same time, they will use other labels to describe themselves because it's totally normal. Labels describe interests and personalities. Let's focus on music and goth because that's kind of the subject that inspired this video. I have my music preferences, but I do love to explore different sounds and discover new things, and I will honestly listen to a little bit of everything. Labels or music tags will help me discern what I really like and what I would like to explore more of or find similar stuff, and will also help me to stay away of stuff that I don't really like that much. If I'm having a conversation with someone I just met and we both say that we're into goth, we might talk about recent discoveries musically wise. That's one of my favorite stuff. I just love to discover new music, so I'm happy to recommend this stuff to other people, and I love when people recommend me new stuff to listen as well. It's thanks to labeling that I will know what kind of things that person likes, and that person will also know the kinds of things that I like, so I can tell them, hey, if you really liked this, then give this a try. Maybe you really like it too. Now here's where we step into controversial territory. But I'm goth and I don't listen to goth music. That's something I really can't understand. It's the exact same thing as me saying I'm a metalhead, but I don't really listen to metal, or I'm a lesbian, but I don't really feel attracted to other girls. It's just contradictory. Gatekeeping is bullshit, and I totally understand that some of that I don't label myself because it limits myself comes from previous episodes of gatekeeping. Sometimes you have people that are constantly trying to test your knowledge about something that you like, that you no longer want to be part of it. Gatekeeping should have no place in any community, may it be comics or video games or anime or music genres, whatever. But it's also important to remind yourself that labels define your interests, and there's no point of labeling yourself of something that you have no interest in. In the long run, that will only lead to an identity crisis, because instead of being yourself, you are trying to follow these phantom rules that you think will make you fit in this community. Hey, it's totally fine to go through phases. We all have done it when we really think that we are a part of something, or that something really defines us and that's super what I am and who I am, and then it turns out that actually that's not really who I am, and I don't really identify with it. This is part of growing up, and this doesn't only happen when you're in your teen years. You are constantly growing until you're dead, so it's totally fine to go through stuff that you think were your thing and then they're not your thing. That is bad for you personally, because again, you're not going to be happy if you continue to do that, and probably people in that community will resent you because they know you're like the odd one out, and things are not always handled the best way. Bullying is never the solution. That should be real clear and obvious. But probably the best way is just trying to be understanding and maybe educating people without being really condescending, or just let people fucking be. Again, we've all been through phases in our lives, and it's totally fine to think you're goth now, think you're even vegan or vegetarian. I know that people don't like me to say that, but sometimes that is a phase as well. It doesn't have to be. Again, what works for some people for the rest of their lives, for some people that is obvious as obvious can get, and that's their identity. For some people it can be a phase. Sexuality is also fluid. Sometimes people can't maintain a vegan diet, and sometimes you think you're into goth and you then later on you find out that you're not into goth. So sometimes the solution can be just let people finding by themselves what they want to be and what they identify with. It's not going to be a 13-year-old that thinks Evanescence invented goth that is going to ruin over 30 years of goth subculture. Come on, Karen. Save your black tears. There's no need to drag anyone in the comment section. I don't even know if Evanescence is a relevant reference anymore. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say. Labels are fine. They're not the ones limiting you. If you feel limited, then you are doing it to yourself. You don't need to follow any rules to belong to any subculture or tribe. Being yourself and your interests should be enough to be on that community. You don't need to pass any tests. You don't need to follow any rules. And if you do that, then that's when you might start limiting yourself. And there's no freaking point on doing that. What you want to be today might not be what you want to be tomorrow. And that's a-okay. I don't think it's any coincidence that goth seems to be the subculture where there's more identity crisis. I'm not sure if I'm the only one noticing that, but there's plenty of social media celebrities, YouTubers, whatever, within the goth community that they have like at least a video talking about it, and that usually comes from you feeling this pressure of fitting the mold so hard that you forget that there is no freaking mold. It's just being yourself. And if you're trying to fit the mold and if you're trying to follow the rules, eventually, yes, you will feel unhappy and you will feel like you're living for the label. Just to wrap it up, and because we were talking about music a little bit, I'm thinking about doing like this series of music recommendations, perhaps like a musical Monday kind of video. I'm hoping to maybe upload at least once a month, like every first Monday or something like that, or just a random Monday of the month. I don't want to be promising anything that I can't keep. Perhaps I'll do that with some recommendations, maybe my favorite bands of this month, or whatever, something like that. Let me know what you guys think. You seem to enjoy the music that I use on my videos and on Instagram as well. And that's it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!